Hello. In searching for another story to read to you for the Read Aloud for Grown Kids, I came across this treasure, Casey at the Bat, the Ballad of Republic, sung in the year 1888. And this is Ernest Thayer's classic tale of baseball woe, as brought to life by the illustrator C.F. Payne. So I thought this would be relevant because right now we do not have any sporting events to watch. Everybody is staying indoors, and a lot of things have been canceled, even like locally. Softball, hockey, soccer, all these different after-school activities and during-school activities have been postponed and canceled indefinitely. So I thought it'd be fun to revisit a classic about America's favorite pastime. So without further ado, I will read this. And it says, "For all those who aren't afraid to strike out and are still willing to bat." And that is CFP. That would be the illustrator, C.F. Payne. So there you go. A lot of cool illustrations, which is why I'm reading them with the illustrations. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2, with but one inning more to play. And then when Cooney died at first, and Barrows did the same, a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A struggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to that hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought if only Casey could but get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did also Jimmy Blake, and the former was a Lulu, and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey's getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, and the men saw what had occurred, there was Johnny safe at second, and Flynn a huggin' third. Then from 5,000 throats and more there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell. It knocked upon the mountain and recoiled upon the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. "10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed in Casey's eyes. A sneer curled Casey's lip." Oops, sorry. I'll show you the pictures. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman the ball unheeded sped. "That ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches black with people there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted someone on the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him if Casey hadn't raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroid flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two." "Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands. An echo answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain. And they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence the bat upon his plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go, and now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. I hope you enjoyed that. I originally intended to read that to the kids, but there's some subject matter in there that my daughter had some questions about, and I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the piece by answering questions. So we're trying to explain things. So if you would like to share it with your children, that's fine. I don't really see any need not to. It's entirely up to you. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed tonight's Read Aloud for grown kids. And till next time. I don't know that I'll have a daily schedule. Obviously, I skipped last night because I'm still trying to figure out different material and things like that. I don't want to do the same thing every single day, but I also want to make it varied and with different styles of and genres and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed. Casey Got the Bat, really great children's book, very well illustrated, and have a great night.